You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. Yes, this is a live broadcast. It's not a pre-record here. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be getting into it very, very soon. But for all those people who emailed me, my little medical sojourn yesterday worked out very well. I'm mending nicely, I guess is a good way to put it. And we'll soon be back to my normal obnoxious self. So we're going to start getting into the news here. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, the news is political. I'm sick of this COVID-19 coronavirus stuff. I really have had enough of that stuff. CNN is out with a new poll, and the headline is reading that Biden leads nationally, but looking a little closely at the battleground states, Trump is ahead, 52% to 45%. These states include Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Wisconsin. Now, 7 of those states voted for Trump in 2016, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. 8 voted for Hillary Clinton, Colorado, Maine, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Carolina, and Virginia. And let me say how disappointed I am in my relatives and friends in the Granite State here. But they're still out there trying to push, Biden's going to win, Biden's going to win. But remember the polls of 2016, Hillary's going to win in a landslide. She's got 90%. And she got trounced. And they all started crying about, it's that electoral college. If it hadn't been for them spoiling our fun, Hillary would be the United States' first female president. And she worked so hard for it and killed so many people, cheated so hard. I mean, come on, guys. So the new poll numbers are warning signs for the Democrats. And Rush Limbaugh was out there saying that he guarantees the Democrats cannot go on with Biden. They won't. And he thinks Andrew Cuomo is going to hijack or try to hijack the Democratic convention. So is Hillary. I'm telling you that right now. Rush may think it's Cuomo. I think it's Hillary. I'll put my name on that right now. Hillary is going to try some kind of a dramatic play at the Democratic convention, which is now they're saying it's going to be virtual because of coronavirus. We can't have a big arena convention. And I'll tell you the real reason. They don't want Biden up on that stage and all the voters getting a look at him and seeing how he's doing. With a virtual convention, they can go in with heavily edited videos of Biden on his good moments, not risk having a bad moment. Biden is still in his cellar. Another sign of dementia, I might add here. But let's face it, Biden is the worst Democratic candidate in recent history. According to this article over at Investment Watchdog, I would disagree. Hillary Clinton was the worst Democratic candidate in recent history. But they're going to have to duke it out for the title, I guess, come November here. Joe Biden has tapped former bartender Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to lead his climate change task force. Now, remember, she's the person who's out there with the Green New Deal, which is going to cost huge amounts of money and accomplish probably not a whole heck of a lot when you realize this whole climate change thing is just another vote-getting, money-getting hoax. But that's who Biden has tapped. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez can probably pour a decent glass of scotch, but she has absolutely no experience in climatology or meteorology at all. And in fact, she's starting to show signs of deterioration as well. Apparently, she wanted to get on the Progressive Union-backed Working Families Party ballot in New York and couldn't get the necessary 15 signatures. So she's booted out of the progressive ballot. Now, I assume she's still running as a Democrat. Maybe, maybe not. I think it's time she got the old heave-ho, mostly because she's an embarrassment. She's an embarrassment to our political system. She looks good. Yeah, that's but politics is not a beauty contest. It's not a fashion show. It's about who can actually do the job for the American people, not just the corporations here. All right, so let's talk about the unmasking scandal. And this is a big deal. Corporate media and the Democrats are trying to say, nah, it's a nothing burger. There's nothing there. And a lot of people are saying, what the heck does it mean, unmasking? Well, it has to do with the way the FISA court works. Now, remember, FISA, F-I-S-A, stands for the Foreign Intelligence Service Act. And the idea was that the FISA court has the authority to issue warrants for surveillance on foreigners outside the United States of America. That's why it's got that first initial F, the Foreign Intelligence Service Act. However, in the course of surveilling foreigners, very often they're talking to American citizens who are not supposed to be surveilled, not without a court-issued search warrant. So what they do is they will mask the American's name. They'll put a little tag in there saying, Sheikh Ahmed Bendover was talking with American number one. And that it'll be left at that. And you're not supposed to unmask those masked names. It's a violation of their rights to privacy. Okay, when those transcripts of the intercepted communications are released, the identity of the American citizen is masked. And it's a very, very limited number of people who can request that those American citizens' names be unmasked, because they shouldn't. American citizens should not be captured in these foreign surveillance investigations. So now you have this idea. Who was asking for Flynn to be unmasked here? Well, as a matter of fact, that list has been made public. It went from the DNI to the DOJ. The DOJ said they were keeping it secret. Somebody else leaked it. It's out there in the press. Here are the people who were trying to get Michael Flynn unmasked. Okay, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Samantha Power. She made no less than 7 requests to unmask Michael Flynn. DNI James Clapper, Deputy Chief of Mission Kelly Degnan, U.S. Ambassador to Italy and the Republic of San Marino John Phillips, Director of the CIA John O'Brennan, OIA Director Patrick Conlon, Secretary of the Treasury Jacob Lew. Why would he even care one way or the other here? Acting Assistant Secretary of Treasury Arthur Danny McGlynn, Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary of Treasury Mike Neufeld, Deputy Secretary of the Treasury Sarah Raskin, and Undersecretary of Treasury of Nathan Sheets. Those are the people who were doing it. Samantha Power, 7 times. They wanted the name out there because they could use it to damage Donald Trump. And they're still out there trying to do it. Now, Senator Rand Paul is out there saying that, Joe Biden was in on this. He was in on this whole thing. And Biden is guilty of using the government to go after a political opponent. So is Obama, for that matter, if you want to go back that far. But apparently, Biden had requested the unmasking of then incoming National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. They wanted him out of there. He was an obstacle to their getting Trump. Now, Biden says he knew absolutely nothing about the plot to target Flynn. Now he's had to backtrack because of what's coming out in the declassified transcripts. And as far as Samantha Power, she made 7 separate requests to unmask Michael Flynn. She testified under oath she had no recollection of making unmasking requests related to General Flynn. So poor Samantha Power, her memory is just totally shot. Must be something in the water in Washington, D.C. or up in New York. I mean, she was the ambassador to the United Nations. She did it 7 times and just can't remember. Just can't remember a single time that she did that. Poor Samantha Powers. We need to send her to the home for mentally incompetent ambassadors is really what we need to do. Now, the other day, Obama came on out and talked about the rule of law, the absolute rule of law. Well, let's talk about Benghazi if you want to talk about the rule of law. And was saying, that Michael Flynn, being, the charges dropped. Nobody's ever been accused of perjury and been allowed to skate on it. And somebody tapped the former president on the shoulder and said, Michael Flynn has not been charged with perjury. Well, by golly, they're going to fix that because apparently Judge Sullivan has ordered a review of the case with an idea of charging Michael Flynn with perjury based on his guilty plea, which Michael Flynn is trying to withdraw, and the judge won't let him. All you Kafka fans out there. Chuck Schumer was up there screaming about the latest talking point. It's all a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. These conspiracy theories about Obama and about Biden and this Hunter Biden conspiracy theory, which, it's all the fault of the Russians. When you run out of anybody to blame for what's going on, blame the Russians. He's out there just hyperventilating, spending their time on discredited conspiracy theories against Obama and Biden. Well, first of all, they're not conspiracy theories. They're backed up by the FISA transcripts. They're not discredited. Nobody's discredited them. And Schumer was hyperventilating so much. Senator Ted Cruz sent him a tweet saying, breathe. Just one word, breathe. So the Biden camp is responding to this unmasking report. They're blaming racism. Racism is the cause for all this alarm here. If it wasn't for racism, nobody would really care about this unmasking. It's race, and if obviously by extension, if you're paying attention to the unmasking scandal, well, then you must be a racist. Boy, the definition of racism has really, really changed lately, hasn't it? So Biden is facing intense criticism when it was revealed he was included in the group of Obama-era officials that called for the unmasking of Michael Flynn in the surveillance reports. Donald Trump is out there saying it's time for Obama to testify. And Obama will have to. The fact that he's an ex-president does not confer on him any immunities. In fact, being president doesn't really confer any immunity on you. A lot of presidents act like it does, and sometimes they get away with it. Sometimes they don't, like Nixon. But right now, Obama is a private citizen of the United States of America. And if a subpoena shows up at his door, he will either honor it and go testify under oath, or he'll be subject to contempt of court charges like any other American. We may yet see him get the perp walk with the handcuffs on here. Senator Rand is out there saying, I fear some people who don't want to investigate Obama are the same people, Lindsey Graham, yes, he actually named him, who don't want FISA reform because they love the power of the intelligence community to snoop on anyone, including Americans. Remember the track record of the FISA court. They hardly ever turn down a request. It's a rubber stamp group to make it look like this is somehow legal for the government to be spying on people, including Americans, without a warrant. That's all they're big, giant rubber stamp. Boom, go spy on this person. Boom, go spy on the president. Boom, go spy on the president's aides. Rarely have they actually turned down one of these requests. It has happened, but rarely. So now that the interview transcripts show intelligence officials telling the House Intelligence Committee they had no evidence of Russian collusion, Donald Trump is out there pointing out Adam Schiff had to know. He had to know all along there was no Russian collusion. And still, not only was he pushing Russian collusion, he was out there lying to you, saying that he had seen evidence of that collusion, which we now know never existed. Adam lied. Kick him out of the garden or kick him out of Congress. Now, Mitch McConnell is pushing the Senate to pass a law that would let the FBI collect Americans' web browsing history without a warrant. So this surveillance fever has gripped the nation's capital. They want to spy on everything. Total information awareness. PRISM. The NSA and their cyber collections. They think privacy is a bad thing for the American people. Good for them. They get all the privacy they want. But you're not allowed to have any privacy. You might be thinking those double plus ungood thoughts, and by golly, that is going to stop here. In other news, Senator Richard Burr appears to be in a little bit of trouble because apparently he dumped a lot of his stock following a briefing on the coronavirus. And the FBI has launched an investigation. They've seized his cell phone as part of the criminal investigation into possible insider trading. And as a result of this, Senator Burr has stepped down as chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. So he's a little bit of small fry that's going to get thrown to the wolves. So the government can say, see, we punish the bad guys, or at least the little bad guys, the ones who can't fight back. Apparently, as part of the new $3 trillion coronavirus bill being pushed by Nancy Pelosi, she wants to shovel a whole bunch of cash to Planned Parenthood, who was still smarting from the backlash they got after wishing everybody a happy Mother's Day. Which, if you really think about it, that was a little sick. I mean, that's how it struck me. You know, this mill that chops up unborn babies and sells the parts out there going, Happy Mother's Day. A little sick. It really, really was. Okay. Let's talk about coronavirus for a little bit. Everybody's talking about it. And de Blasio is declaring a good day in New York City's fight against the coronavirus. Hospitalizations and other indicators have gone down. Patients in intensive care and percent of positive tests have decreased. Well, maybe it's hit its peak and it's heading on down there. Over in Wisconsin, the Supreme Court strikes down the Democratic governor's lockdown order. And apparently, this is the first time a statewide order of its kind has been knocked down by a court of last resort. So the fight over lockdowns continues. Out in Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti is ordering all residents must wear face coverings when they leave their home. And right now, it looks like California is going to extend their lockdowns into August. Another 3 months. People are going to start going crazy already. Well, not that they're not already crazy in California, but I mean worse. The Virginia government is asking for help enforcing the continued lockdown there. A Virginia sheriff has said, no way. Factionalizing the government itself here. The Washington state governor announces plans to forcefully quarantine those infected and all their contacts. Governor Jay Inslee announced at a press briefing on Tuesday that a standing army of contact tracers, along with members of the National Guard, will identify and immediately quarantine Washingtonians infected with COVID-19 and any individuals who have come in contact with the infected. What is he setting up? You know, concentration camps? The way the plan works is that in the event that multiple people or members of a family reside under the same roof with a shared bathroom, these people will be quarantined out of their homes. Where are you going to put them there, Gov? Over in Michigan, things are really rocking and rolling. Facebook has deleted a Michigan anti-quarantine group with more than 380,000 members. And the members are fighting back. They're restarting the group. Facebook takes it down again. They're restarting the group on other social media. I think at the end of all of this mess, we're going to see the so-called traditional founding social media like Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube. They're going to be in a shambles because nobody will trust that they're able to find anything of any real use on any of those platforms, unless your entire life revolves around funny cat videos. You know, then you're home free. But right now, people are concerned about the coronavirus. They want to hear all points of view and make up their own mind. And we have these CEOs of Facebook and Google and the rest of them saying, no, we know better than you. We're so much smarter than you are. We have money that makes us smarter than you are. And we will decide for you what you will read, see, and hear. No, I don't think so. I would rather make a mistake on bad information than have Mark Zuckerberg tell me what to think. No hard feelings, Mark. It's not personal. I met the man. Michigan governor is claiming that anti-lockdown protests are racist and misogynistic. That's the latest talking point. It's racism again. Oh my goodness. Governor Gretchen Whitmer is saying the protests against her coronavirus lockdown are racist and misogynistic. You're only opposed to it because I'm a woman governor. Boy, talk about pathetic and desperate. Okay, we're going to take a break here for some commercials, and we'll be back with more news after these few words.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what really happened?
Welcome back to our show here, and a reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is in a perpetual fundraiser because we need your help to keep doing what we're doing, to get the truth out there against the government and corporations and corporate social media who are trying to basically re-corral you and retake control of your brain, which is really what it is. It's a war for the minds of America. And right now they're losing. That's why they've had to enlist Facebook and Google and YouTube and Twitter to act as gatekeepers. So if you'd like to help out Republic Broadcasting, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. Okay, getting on back to the circus over in Michigan. Remember that barber, Carl Mankey, and he reopened his shop in defiance of Governor Gretchen's stay-at-home orders and basically vowed to keep his business open until Jesus comes. And apparently Michigan has now suspended his license. He's gotten an attorney. The attorney is saying the state's actions are out of pure retribution. Yeah, Gretchen is looking like a spoiled child. She doesn't get her way, so she's going to just fling problems at people. How dare you fail to bow down to her womanness? We're going to take away your business license. Michigan, meanwhile, is reporting a 10% death rate from coronavirus cases. That is extraordinarily high. Kind of makes you wonder what's going on over there. Again, out in California, their state university system has already decided to cancel fall in-person classes due to COVID-19. It's all going to be remote learning. That may be the model of the future, which I think would be a loss because part of the college experience is the socialization of getting on out there. You're starting to wean yourself away from your parents, starting to interact with other human beings. Can't do that quite so easily on Zoom. Hundreds of anti-lockdown protesters gathered in North Carolina for a fifth week, days after Governor Roy Cooper started relaxing the COVID-19 restrictions. Apparently, it is not happening fast enough out there. So Roy Cooper on Friday pushed through a new executive order which eased North Carolina's stay-at-home order. But the Reopen NC group returned to protest for a fifth week to demand lockdown is ended completely. All righty. This one I have a little problem with. Okay. The government, the United States government, has forbidden the Boy Scouts from practicing their annual tradition of putting American flags on the graves of veterans for Memorial Day due to the coronavirus. What do they think is going to happen? That the Boy Scouts are going to give those dead veterans coronavirus, or the veterans will give the Boy Scouts coronavirus? I don't think so. I think this is nonsense. And as having been a Boy Scout myself, you know, I know how important Memorial Day is. So I definitely disagree with this. I don't think there's no gain. Nobody's going to get infected. You know, they get handed their flags and they walk apart from each other. They're not clustered together. They're spaced out because they've got to go to the different, you know, tombstones, headstones for the veterans. I think it's silly. Kind of a thing the government does just to look like they're doing something when they don't really know what the heck to do here. Over at the White House, as you're already aware, there's a coronavirus scare going on, that the cluster may be emerging there, and it's about to get a little bit more complicated because they're using Abbott's 5-minute coronavirus test on the White House staff. That's what diagnosed Trump's valet and Mike Pence's press secretary. But apparently this 5-minute coronavirus test misses up to half of all positive cases, according to a recent study. Researchers at New York University compared the ID Now test to one made by Cepheid Incorporated. The ID Now test missed 1/3 of positive results when using samples that were stored in vials. Among samples taken with a nasal swab, the ID Now test missed almost 50% of the positive results. So there could be twice as many people in the White House with COVID-19. Okay, now a lot of people are starting to talk about what's called Kawasaki disease, and no, it doesn't mean you've got little tiny motorcycles growing all over your skin. And it's apparently this inflammatory syndrome that is affecting children, and they're saying it's linked to coronavirus. How it's linked has not been made clear, but apparently there are 100 British children with this Kawasaki disease, and apparently they were otherwise healthy and had no serious medical conditions. So this is a real surprise here, and it begs the question, did coronavirus mutate into this Kawasaki pathogen, or are they just trying to link everything that comes along to coronavirus to inflate those numbers? We got to take another break for commercials. We'll be back with more news after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly,
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet, also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas. Yeah, I want to be a pirate.
Welcome back to our show here. Now, here in Indiana, they're starting to set up wide area testing for COVID-19. There's a center that opened up in Tell City, which is south of here, basically where you can go in and get tested and find out if you have had it or not. And what is emerging from this testing program is the fact that a lot of people have had COVID-19 and don't know it. A lot of people are carrying it around and being contagious and not knowing it. Apparently, it's a very, very mild illness compared to, well, for example, the seasonal flu. And the other aspect of this is they're starting to realize that people who get the virus and come down with symptoms may be facing a long road back, that the adverse health effects of coronavirus could last for years. So in a lot of ways, it's like, you know, there are other illnesses where in a certain part of the population, there's no effect. And in another part of the population, there's minor annoying symptoms. And then in a very, very tiny part of the population, you get death. Dengue fever is a good example. 3% of the cases, roughly, you get hemorrhagic bleed out and crash. About 20%, it's like a mild flu. And everybody else who gets it, they don't know. And it passes from mosquito to mosquito to mosquito to mosquito. So, new research is finding that ocular surface cells can be infected by the coronavirus, which means those little face masks we're all wearing are completely useless because the virus can attach to cells on the eye, like the sclera coating, the conjunctiva. They're susceptible to infection by SARS-CoV-2 and could therefore serve as a portal of entry, as well as a reservoir for person-to-person transmission of the virus. Somebody cries and their tears get on somebody else, and by golly, they're infected. So apparently, researchers from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine and Zhongshan Ophthalmic Center of Sun Yat-sen University wrote in a preprint study published in bioRx, not sure how to pronounce that, but it got published on May 9th. I remember when this whole thing first started up, somebody was saying that you've got to cover your eyes as well as cover your nose and mouth with safety glasses. We saw a lady at the Costco today had a complete face shield. Oh, anyway. All righty. Dr. Luc Montagnier, who is a Nobel Prize winner in medicine, has come down on the side of the argument, where did COVID-19 come from? And he's convinced it's been artificially made by experts. Well, they were doing something with that virus in that lab in Wuhan, China. It wasn't just, collecting the virus from the bat. They could have left it in the cave. Simply said, yes, there's a virus in that bat. The part for me that always has raised a question is that the protein spikes, the means by which the virus attaches itself to a cell, are identical to those in HIV. Now, I don't claim to be an expert, but to the best of my knowledge, bats don't get HIV. So how did this crossover event come about? So this Nobel Prize winner, he's convinced it's an artificial form. I think it was a work in progress biological weapon. It certainly wasn't a completed one. It's, as a biological weapon, it's garbage. It's absolute junk. More damage is being done to our societies by the fear of coronavirus than by the coronavirus. Part of the reason may be that the triple drug combo of anti-malaria pill hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc improved coronavirus patients' chances of being discharged, cut death risk by almost 50%. And yet you've got big farmers out there saying, oh, no, hydroxychloroquine, that's quack cures here. You wait, we're coming up with something that's going to cost $4,000 a dose that we're going to sell you. Vultures. According to the World Health Organization's chief scientist, coronavirus could take 5 years to bring under control. And they're saying it may never go away completely, and we'll just have to learn to live with it the way we live with HIV now, which is still out there, still doing its evil work. I know it doesn't think of itself as evil. It probably doesn't think of itself at all, being a primitive life form. But certainly from our point of view, it's an evil thing. So is coronavirus. All right, let's turn to the international news here, because, and again, none of this stuff is getting into the corporate media, but it's looking more and more like the United States is trying to provoke China, because they've sent another destroyer through the strategic Taiwan Strait. Now, arguably, there is a channel of international water that goes through that strait, and the United States has a legal right to be there. But what's the reason to be there? Why sail through the strait as opposed to, sailing down the windward side of Taiwan? Why, it's to annoy China, to provoke a reaction. So they sailed this destroyer through the strait just days before the island's president is sworn in for a second term. Meanwhile, over in Iraq, U.S. aircraft continue to transfer ISIS terrorists from Syria to Iraq. Getting something to go there. Everybody's still talking about Iran. They're talking about the arms embargo. The United States is out there saying, we demand it be extended. And Russia's UN envoy, Vasily Nebenzia, is basically saying the U.S. is knocking on a closed door. The U.S. cannot demand an extension of an arms embargo against Tehran since it is no longer a party to the Iran nuclear deal. Because I do not see any reason why an arms embargo should be imposed on Iran. It expires on 18th October. It was temporary. It was not even, in fact, even an embargo. It was the provision where Iran is allowed to export and import armaments on the consent of the UN Security Council. Now, 2 years ago, the U.S. proudly announced, actually Donald Trump proudly announced, that it withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and closed the door behind it. Now they knock on that door and say, just wait a second, we forgot to do one little thing on the JCPOA. Let us back, we will do it and leave again. So it's reached the point right now where other nations are laughing at the United States for what they did. They're laughing at Donald Trump for pulling out of the P5+1 deal and now wanting to go back in and dictate how they should behave. It makes the United States government look certainly arrogant, not to mention foolish. Sorry, Donald, you blew it. Blew it when you pulled out of the treaty here. All right, economic news now. Article out of Investment Watch blog, and it's about the proposal of a debt jubilee, saying there's no amount of money that can save the system. It's simply too deep in debt, and there's only two possible outcomes. Either there's going to be a debt jubilee where the debt is simply written off, or the system is going to collapse. And right now, I mean, states are dealing with the biggest budget crisis they've faced in all of U.S. history, mostly because so much of the wealth of the taxpayers is being siphoned off as interest payments on the national debt, on the state debt, on college loan, student loan debt, on auto loan debt, on mortgage debt. If you're looking for something to do during the lockdown, get out all your bills and everything and calculate how much you're paying out and how much of that represents interest to the bankers who graciously allowed you to buy a new home or a new car with money that they created out of thin air. This is the reason the Federal Reserve will not allow a full audit. If the American people ever realize just how much wealth has been sucked out of the American people by the Federal Reserve, there'd be a revolution by morning. That's why they fight it tooth and nail. And getting on back to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as you know, the Democrats are out there. They want to spend more money. They're talking about a second $1,200 to U.S. citizens, which I'm okay with. They're talking about a $6,000 one-time payment to U.S. citizens, which I'm okay with. And they're talking about taxing it all back somewhere down the road, which I think I have a real problem with. If you think about how much has been taxed from you during your entire lifetime, now we're in trouble. And we're in trouble because the government put us in trouble. Yeah, there should be some reparations and not a loan. So anyway, the Republicans are out there saying, look, the United States government, just the government, not everybody else in the country, but just the U.S. government is $25 trillion in debt, not counting unfunded mandates. And we need to control government spending. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is out there saying, it's a bad faith argument. Yeah, we'll just spend the money. Remember when she came out with the Green New Deal and she was talking about the trillions it was going to cost? Somebody said, where are you going to get the money for it? And she says, we'll just get it. Really? How are you going to get that much money to spend? No, we'll just get it. Doesn't have a clue. She's a bartender, people. They voted a bartender into Congress, and I'm sure she's a great bartender. Man. So she's out there insisting that the Republicans want to aid large corporations rather than average Americans, which is a Democratic argument, but yet when you look at the spending bill that came on out, a lot of it went to the corporations, and it was backed by Democrats here. Elon Musk has listed 5 more of his California properties for a whopping total of $97 million, nearly 2 weeks after vowing to sell his material possessions and putting 2 Bel Air homes on the market for $39 million. Well, I don't know what's going on with Elon Musk, but he's going to be the next Howard Hughes, man of mystery and just, you know, wacko, ultra rich. He's into everything. The only thing that Hughes did that Elon Musk hasn't done is direct a motion picture. That'll be coming. And Elon, if you need a visual effects supervisor, I'm still available. HSBC lost $200 million in one day on paper as coronavirus dislocated the gold market. And despite that, our advice to all of our listeners continues to be buy gold, buy silver, buy the actual metal, keep it under your control. The paper contracts, at some point, they're going to blow up. They're leveraged to just ridiculous levels, 100 to 1. Now, Maxine Waters is admitting we don't want businesses to reopen. She has this habit of blurting out the truth that Democrats often want to hide. And, you know, she was out there calling for Trump to be impeached. And here's the whole thing. Trump founded his reelection campaign on how good the economy was doing. And it became, you know, a one-horse show. And back when that was happening, I said, this is not a good idea. You know, to mix your metaphors, you're putting all your eggs in just one basket, and that basket's called the economy. And if something happens to the economy, the Democrats are going to go to town on you, which is exactly what's happening. The Democrats do not want the lockdowns lifted before November. They don't care how many people go hungry. They don't care how many businesses go out of business. They don't, because it's all about making Trump look bad so Biden or whoever gets to be the next president. And I think it betrays a certain callousness and lack of concern in our political class that they're willing to play these kind of games. Yeah, let's starve a few million Americans. Let's drive a few million entrepreneurs out of business. And yeah, they worked hard to start their businesses, and you know, they paid their taxes and their registration fees, and they filled out all the paperwork we told them to. But to heck with them. Let's let them all crash into the dust here, and you know, they can go on welfare and SNAP and the rest of that stuff here, just so long as we get Donald Trump. So Maxine Waters has basically admitted it. They don't want the businesses to come back. They don't want the jobs to come back. They want everybody hungry and frustrated and angry because they think they can direct that anger at the GOP and at Donald Trump. I don't think so. My sense of it is the anger is being directed at the Democrats, and they may be hoisting with history's largest petard here. Do you remember the Parkland school shooting? And there was this Florida police officer, Sergeant Brian Miller, from the Broward Sheriff's Office, and video showed him basically cowering behind a car while 17 people were shot dead. And he was summarily fired for failing to coordinate an immediate response to the Parkland shooting. Well, he has been reinstated, and with full back pay, which amounts to almost $200,000. I think that's a little sick. Now, a little bit of good news. This is sort of getting on back to Elon Musk. SpaceX has created a Crew Dragon simulator on the SpaceX website that lets you play it being an astronaut and practice manually docking with the International Space Station. I took a look at it earlier today, and it's a lot of fun. I aced it on the first try, by the way. So you might want to go over to SpaceX's website. They're getting ready to launch the first manned flight of the Crew Dragon later this year. And I cheer them on. I wish the best for them. It's time for the United States to get back into space without having to hitch a ride with other countries. Good for them here. Okay, over on Mars, my favorite planet, the InSight spacecraft is picking up Marsquakes, and scientists are now trying to recreate the conditions they think exist in the Martian core, which is an iron-sulfur clathrate. And it's thought to be the substance at the core of Mars, and they're getting this seismic information from the Marsquakes. I think they need to put down a few more of these landers. That way they can actually do some seismic imaging, because there's still a school of thought that Mars used to have an atmosphere and water until it was hit by a very, very large asteroid. Mars is actually slightly warped. It's slightly dented. Take a look at the topographic maps. Actually, I got a topographic globe of it back here. So it's exciting stuff. And I miss those days when I was with NASA. And I'm glad that they're getting back out there into space rather than just rubber stamping Al Gore and human-caused global warming, which, by the way, look at the freezing temperatures we're seeing across the country, this in mid-May. All right, we got to take a break for commercials. We're coming up on the last segment of our first hour, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to open the phone line.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Redfield Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
Is the Second Amendment your line in the sand? Is the United States Constitution important to you? Are you worried about gun confiscation? You need to join us for free at gunconfiscation.com. At gunconfiscation.com, you will meet like-minded patriots, get the latest Second Amendment news, and find anything you need to prepare for gun confiscation. Visit gunconfiscation.com today. That's gunconfiscation.com. Which side are you on?
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike.
Welcome back to our show here. Now, over in Europe, in the small town of Zabici in Poland, they have discovered the world's second oldest time capsule. The oldest one in Europe was found hidden inside a church spire that was undergoing renovation work. Nobody knew it was there. And it dates back to 1797. It contains coins and building documents. I think time capsules are a lot of fun. And I sort of got introduced to the idea at a very young age because my grandfather, who did a lot of cabinetry work and carpentry work, when he was sealing up a wall, he would take whatever change was in his pocket and just throw it in there and leave it for whoever was going to tear the wall down to discover some years in the future. And I've seen where, this is all in New Hampshire, by the way, I've seen where old walls were being torn out and you'd see all these coins, Indian head pennies and everything just scattered along the bottom of the 2x4s. And when I think I was about 7, I actually made my own time capsule out of an old coffee can, buried it underneath the barn in our home. I thought it would be there forever, but then the next owners of the home tore the barn down and took it all off to a landfill. So much for that. But, 7-year-olds, we have ambitions. All right, we're going to go ahead and start taking phone calls right now. We're going to start with Tom in Florida. Tom, I may have to take you through station identification. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day to you, Michael, and aloha. Yeah, what's on my mind is first you said Ocasio-Cortez is a good bartender. Yeah, she might be a good bartender in a strip bar up there in New York. She'd be good in a strip club being a bartender. As far as whatever she could do to pull, whatever. But she's full of nonsense. That broad's whacked out. No question about it. These idiots in New York will vote for anything. They'll vote for whatever. They're nuts. But yeah, Mike, what's on my mind is I want to talk about the Michael Flynn case a little bit.
Yes.
Michael Flynn definitely has been on the road. This judge is a total racist. I believe this Judge Sullivan's a racist rascal. I do believe that this Yovanovitch, now they proved that she's a liar. She was on that thing, and some of these senators like Blumenthal were saying she should be on Mount Rushmore, and this woman's going to expose Trump and all this. And you got the same Bloomberg, this Zog agent, who said he went to Vietnam, lied to everybody in Vermont, whatever state he's from, and these people still vote for this schmuck. They're voting for these putzes that I don't know how these people, when these states, like I told you last week, these states are 98, 97% Christian, but they're going to vote for these kind of nincompoops who are totally Zionist in our ideology, communist, Bolshevik. I don't understand it, Michael. Maybe you can explain it to me and your listening audience. What is going on with these people in these states, these northern New England states, voting for these imbeciles like Bernie? You got this Blumenthal, dickhead Blumenthal, who said he went to Vietnam. He's a liar. Then he's saying this lady, Yovanovitch, should be on Mount Rushmore. We're going after Trump. This is total hatred.
Unfortunately, those New England states have tended to go liberal. Massachusetts certainly has. New Hampshire certainly has. The old idea of the New England conservative, they're an endangered species right now. Okay, we got to take a break for station identification. Tom, stay on the line. I'm going to come right back to you as soon as we're done with this.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new EaseOff Model EZ4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my EaseOff?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new EZ4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. EaseOff LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome back to our show, hour number 2. We're talking with Tom in Florida. And Tom, the situation with Michael Flynn is not even really about Michael Flynn, because Donald Trump has already indicated there's a pardon waiting to be granted when this situation starts to resolve itself. And all of the people attacking Michael Flynn have to know that. Judge Sullivan has to know that. There is nothing that they can do that is going to get Flynn tossed in prison. Okay, so why are they still out there rabidly trying to push this? Well, first of all, they're trying to distract from the fact that Flynn was railroaded. And I think they actually want Trump to pardon Michael Flynn, because then they can use that against him come November. Oh, look, he pardoned that evil Michael Flynn. And again, Flynn has just found himself caught in the middle of this, you'll pardon the expression, pissing contest between the Democrats and the president.
Well, Michael, I think you're right there, but I think I believe Sullivan is trying to cover for Barry Soetoro, Hussein Obama. And Sullivan knows that Obama's in big trouble. And that's why they're doing this. This guy Sullivan, he's a shrill hack trying to protect Obama and his administration, because this guy is a racist. I don't care what anybody says about Sullivan. He knows he's a nincompoop in his own mind, but he's got to play the game. But I want to get back to something else, Michael. And by the way, over the weekend, on Drudge, they had 28 shootings in Chicago, 8 dead, 28 shootings in Chicago. So this is happening. What happened with the coronavirus and the gun laws in Chicago, in Detroit, and all these cities? This is nonsense. But another thing I was on one of these news, I believe it was Newsmax, Michael, is did you see the thing about the gloves and the mask in Lebanon? And the Israelis got to go and clean them up because there's dumps everywhere with dirty gloves and dirty masks all over the place. And there's people that are just dumping them in like piles. And all these, it's going to be, it's on one of the news stations. And the experts are saying now, once this coronavirus thing's over, within a year or so, there's going to be 5 million tons of masks and gloves and other protective stuff that they're going to have to literally burn, incinerate.
Yes.
5 million tons, Michael. So, and the mask, I believe the masks really are making you sicker than helping you in a lot of ways. If you're wearing a mask, you're breathing in your own carbon dioxide, so you're actually going to get sicker in a lot of sense. And they're saying in Italy, the virus is going through your eyeballs. So some of your callers are going to call in the mask. I know one guy's going to call in. Well, let me tell you, if it goes through your eyes, what are you going to wear? Everybody's going to wear a windshield now? That thing going to be the new next thing? Everybody's got to wear, in all the stores now, a lot of people are wearing windshields and masks.
Yes.
So I guess that's going to be the new norm now. This virus, they still haven't got a real hold on who actually made it. I'm pretty sure it came out of China, but we're not 100% sure. And the whole thing it stinks. And this guy Fauci is a fool. He's a liar, conniver, and guy's getting rich off Bill Gates. Burke's daughter works for Bill Gates' organization. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I just found out, Michael, and I didn't know this, that this guy John Brennan voted for a socialist communist when he was running for president, and Comey was when he was in college, he was a full-blown communist. He was communist leanings. Comey. His wife worked for the Democratic Party. She's a big fundraiser, Mrs. Comey.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all criminal activity was going on with these demon rats. And then the main thing, Michael, and you notice more than anybody in the United States, I'm sure, is that they're doing this to turn Texas blue and bringing all these illegals in. This whole thing is about immigration, number one, the Supreme Court, number two, to take Trump out of power. They know that Trump's onto something about slowing this illegal immigration. Nobody's been arrested for sanctuary cities, and I agree with one of your callers. People need to be locked up and the key thrown away for what they have done to this country with illegal immigration. Americans should be first, last, and always taken care of. Americans are not being first, last, and always taken care of health-wise, job-wise. They got all these H-1 visa. They're bringing in 1,000. Michael, there's 30 million people out of work. What are these people? They keep bringing all these illegals in here. They had a truckload in Texas that he caught. I think it was 55 illegals in a truck the other day. I mean, they're going to be at the border by the millions after this is over, Michael. Unless, you know what? I got a little information I would like to share with you, Michael. I just heard this guy on the radio yesterday here in the local station, and he did tell me, this guy called, he said, what we got to do is start bringing all these manufacturing jobs either back to the United States or put them in Central America or Mexico. Take them out of China. Build the mask over and let those people stay in their own countries. Give them factories to build these masks with all their medical supplies. We don't need to ship these things 8,000 miles away. Okay?
That's a good idea.
We need to make all our equipment in the Central America, Mexico, or mainly in the southwest part of the United States, and build that wall 30 foot tall and deport them all. We need massive deportations like Eisenhower did in the 50s. I don't care what any of your callers are. You can say this guy Tom's crazy. You know, I'm not crazy. We need to take care of Americans first, last, and always. We need to put a moratorium on immigration for 100 years.
Yes.
People are in this country. We take care of them first. And you know what? Start having our own people breed back their own kind. We don't need another culture to come in here and dictate to us in their different cultural ideology or their language. No. That's like saying right now in Iceland, if you took 5 million Muslims and stuck them in Iceland, well, they'd be the majority because there's only, 350,000 in Iceland. Would that be fair? Would that be fair? Is that fair to England, Germany, all these European countries? No, it's not fair. It's illegal. And people should be put in jail or even worse than what they have done to this country and the rest of Europe. And what they're trying to do. It's disgusting. We need to stop
I agree.
it immediately.
I absolutely agree. I think all these mayors and governors of sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, we ought to basically make them carry all the illegal immigrants back across the border, piggyback style. And,
after that, we arrest them. They should be arrested after that, Mike, because Pelosi's she lives in an $18 million mansion in San Francisco, but you got thousands of homeless in San Francisco now. Anaheim by Disneyland is a disgrace. What has happened in that city? I mean, this is unbelievable. And these are Americans living out on the street. These ain't illegals living in Section 8 housing. Okay, how do you explain somebody? I wish they'd really get on the TV and explain how do you have 8 million people in one state, but you have all these homeless Americans, black and white, but you have 8 million illegals living in the state of California, Mexifornia, if you want to call it. Let's call it what it really is. So, all these callers are going to call it, oh, Tom. No, listen, I just tell it like it is, whether you like it or not. The truth, the whole truth, not but the truth will help you God. And with the gun, you are a citizen in this great country. Without the gun, you'll be the subject, just like they did in Cuba, just like they did in all these other countries, China and everywhere else. When they don't have a gun to fight back against this tyrant, these tyrannical tyrants, then you're in big trouble. So I just have to say that to your show, Michael, that, you're the best host out there as far as you know what's going on more than anybody I've ever talked to or listened to. And I honestly mean that, Michael. You're one guy that has more knowledge, I think, than 10 guys. Well, I will say this. Billy Cunningham was really pretty good the other night on his Sunday night show. He was really hitting a lot of good things there. What they're really trying to do with the deep state, the swamp, the lake, the sewer pit, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. It's a smelly, it's a skunkate swamp, I guess. But, just to see what's
don't
going on.
Don't sugarcoat it like that, Tom. Tell us how you really feel. Anyway, listen, Tom, I'm going to let you go here now because we've got other callers waiting on the line, and I need to give them their allotment of time. So thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go and switch over to Jim in Montana. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello. Something weird just happened, right? Are you still there?
Yes, you're on the air.
All right. Yeah, I'm issues with my phone. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Hey, Tom. Yeah, you're not crazy, Tom. You're on it. But this is the thing. It's coming down to it, guys. Okay. I've been watching this thing, and been hoping the people aren't really going to go along with this, and maybe they'll back off. With the iron fist that they're trying to collapse us all in. But no, they're not. There's certain states that are putting together a task force to find everybody that's been in contact with everybody, and to track all these people and to start putting them into quarantine camps is what they're called. And they're basically going to be the FEMA camps that we've all known about, that they've been building all this time. It's here, people. This isn't going to die back. They're going to go full throttle on this. Okay, we know the ones that have been watching this, we know what's going on, okay? The Bilderberger Group, the Bohemian Grove. Let's not forget all these things that we have been learning about over the years, okay? They are all in it together. They are. Do your hard research on the Rothschilds. They are absolute masters of subterfuge and planting spies and planting their officials in governments. They've been doing it for 300 years. Okay, it's not just wild conspiracy talk. This is how they operate. They put these people in compromising positions so they can blackmail them, you know, Epstein. Okay, we know what's going on. The war is here. It's here. So let's just go ahead and split it into the two camps, right down to it. You're either in the camp where you're going to, you know, you're hoping that this is just going to, the government is just going to eat themselves alive, and we're going to have the Russian communist fall apart situation and just try to rebuild from there. I think that's going to be a hell of a lot tougher than people realize, because they're not just going to let that happen. They're not going to just unsink their claws that easily. Or you're in the second camp where you're ready to do something. You're gosh dang pissed off. You're sick of these people. Me personally, they have been effing up my life since I was a child. I've had certain family member involved in fighting these people for a long time. We've been involved, and I've been collateral damage, and they have just, my life has been hard because of these people. Okay?
Yes.
And I'm not the richest man. I'm just freaking living paycheck to paycheck. I got a bit of a backup plan. I've got a certain member of my family that's a prepper, self-sufficient, out in the woods. So I've got a fallback plan, fallback this. But I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to organize. I'm ready to march up on the Capitol Hill. I have come up with the not just about the perfect plan to retake Congress in a democratic and constitutional legal way. Okay? I just need a tech guy. I just need a tech guy to work a few bugs out. Okay? But let's just split it up to the two camps. I won't waste any more time on the radio. Okay? You're either in the camp where you're just going to hold out and let it just eat itself apart and try to rebuild after this crashes. I think that's going to be rough, real rough. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be able to survive that. Okay, I mean, when the food's gone and everything else or whatever. Or we organize. We march up on the Capitol Hill. We walk into Congress nonviolently, and we sit in those seats and we pass the bills that we need to pass. And I've got to wait to vote it, to have the country vote the entire time we're doing it. Okay? I've left my number with the guy that takes the phone calls and stuff. So anybody, if you're, this is what we're down to. The fight's here, the war's here. They're not going to let go. They're planning on putting people in freaking camps. The Bill Gates has got the electronic tattoo. If you don't get the vaccination, then you're not going to be able to shop for your food. You're not going to be able to do crap. Okay? It's here.
Okay.
They're doing it. They're going full board. Okay, Mike, thanks for your time. Appreciate the platform you've created and all your hard work, man. You're awesome. Bye-bye.
All right, well, thanks an awful lot for the phone call, Jim. We're going to switch over to Glenn in Philadelphia. Hello, Glenn. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. So many topics, so little time.
Yes.
Given that it's a little warped, I see why Mars is your favorite planet.
Well, that's not the reason, but it sounds good.
I'm going to have to stick with Earth for the time being, at least. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I
It's
live
like-
on Earth and I enjoy Earth, but of the other planets, Mars is my favorite because I used to live there.
Okay, I see. Originally called in about the money issue. This idea of the relief bill sending money to Americans, and whether or not to tax it back and all that sort of thing. It almost kind of reminds me, there was talk a while back about, a Jubilee or a Shemitah or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it almost seems like a stealth, gradual Shemitah or Jubilee type of thing, you know. Now, if we can only get the creditors to forgive the U.S. government, you know, it's hyperinflationary, but it might still be better than the alternatives, you know. But
Yes. No, getting the bankers and the creditors to go along with the Jubilee is going to be extraordinarily difficult.
Right. The well, like I say, the gradualistic type aspect of it is interesting. It kind of this idea is giving the money back. It kind of reminds me of the life insurance marketing thing of the '80s. You probably remember this, where there's this big push on selling term insurance, and they were, you know, putting down on whole life insurance and stuff like that, and saying that the dividend what one gets on whole life is really just a very partial refund on an overcharged premium.
Yes.
And that's what this, like, sending money back to the American people is like. It's a very minute partial refund on grossly overcharged taxes. And where is all this relief money going? Because they're sending out like drips and drops to the people. And where's this huge torrent of money going otherwise?
Corporations.
Exactly. And so that's a bit problematic, you know. But yes, I just don't think, you know, in the long term, you know, it's not enough money to bail people out. And I kind of agree with someone who said early on that this is just sort of a bread and circuses kind of thing to mollify the masses in the course of what's being done. Because we see all this draconian tyranny being brought in, the Trace Act, you know, 100,000 brown shirts going around, you know, knocking on doors and taking people away. Did Solzhenitsyn have something to say about that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that seems like it relates to that sort of thing too. I wanted to mention something a previous caller talked about with these masks, and I had made a joke one time recently. We've all seen television shows where somebody hyperventilates and they have them breathe into a paper bag.
Yes.
The purpose for that is when you hyperventilate, you blow off too much CO2, and CO2 is acetic in nature. If you blow off too much CO2, you go into respiratory alkalosis. But if you put a mask over your face and restrict the breathing, it's like breathing in the paper bag, and you're retaining CO2, which is going to make you tend towards respiratory acidosis, and that has its problems. But it's very gradual, and your body does have a buffering system, the carbonic acid sodium bicarbonate buffering system, to keep your pH within range. But I do wonder, I personally don't like wearing a mask for a very long period of time because of this. I gotta wonder if you've got a few 100 million Americans walking around retaining CO2 that they might otherwise be blowing off. I can wonder if Americans tend to be overly ascetic to begin with, just with their diet.
Yes.
So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up too. All right, Mike, thank you.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. And Dustin, I'm going to have to take you through the next commercial break. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, the whole tracing, people could still stay home. They just want to trace you who you've been with. Like if you have contacts with this person or that person, to find out, they don't spread the virus. The brown shirts ain't coming to get you, man. I thought the brown shirts were Antifa.
True. True.
I mean, come on, guy. And we're not starving to death. Mike, you went to Costco. I went to the store the other day. They had plenty of rice and potatoes and beans and string beans and corn. I mean, yeah, you might be a little short on meat, but you're not going to be a skeleton laying on the floor of your room either. Come on, man. The trucks are still rolling. Let's not exaggerate anything.
Okay, Dustin, I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to put you on hold. Don't hang up. We'll be right back.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Rescue Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse every.
Welcome back to our show. Here we're talking with Dustin in New Jersey. And Dustin, if you could just sort of pick up from where you left off.
Yeah, nobody's starving to death, guys. Like, let's not exaggerate a little.
No, the problem of the hoarders.
How did the food, Mike, you went to the Costco, you said, how did the meat section look? And the other sections? I bet the other sections were stocked up.
Yeah, they were stocked up. The meat section was pricey. The prices are going up. There's no question about that. But, the other day we were talking about pork producers. They're still exporting to China. Why aren't they keeping that here for the American people? There was a news report on the radio that some of the local beef producers are struggling to keep up with demand, but the demand is higher than normal because people have bought these giant chest freezers for their garages, and they're hoarding. They're stocking up.
Now, Mike, is the prices of the product going up, or is the dollar value going down? It's probably a little of both, right?
Yeah, probably a little of both. But the meat prices were definitely going up by far more than the price, for example, toilet paper.
Kind of like Soylent Green. Remember when they went into the girl and the guy, or the furniture?
I remember that.
They went in to get that last piece of meat, right? And some strawberry jelly the guy got, the bodyguard, right?
Yes.
All right, Mike, I'm going to transfer over to Tom. Hey, Tom, you got to take your hat off. Got to be now make South America great again. What's the difference if you move from China to South America? I'm going to have to, unfortunately, quote Hillary Clinton. What difference does it make?
I want the manufacturing to come back to this country because we've got people who know how to manufacture and they have got nothing to do. And I'm sorry that the illegal immigrants don't have manufacturing skills, and I don't feel like training them up. So everyone tries to sell this idea of the illegal immigrants will do the jobs that the American people won't take. Well, let's give the American people jobs they will take, okay? And then, if the illegal immigrants want to go on out and, pick up cigarette butts at the local city park, that's fine.
Well, remember this, Mike. We meddled in South America for how long? We meddle in Trump, Pompeo, Elliot Abrams, right?
Yep.
Trump, all you people, Trump, meddling still in Venezuela, right? Like with this whole, Mike, by the way, did you see that thing with Syria with that bank that the coalition have seized,
yes.
Meddling all around the world, so Trump's not your savior, guys. And by the way, Tom, I get angry at you. You keep blaming, this has got to stop. I'm not Jewish, Mike, I'm Catholic, but the Jews did it. The Chinese did it. Don't get Chinese food. It's just, come on, guys. Like, China has played the game, guys. You realize that.
Very well.
They're mercantile. Exactly. They're mercantilist. Isn't that what Trump's all about? It's just business. Trump is a capitalist, right? He's a businessman. It's business. They're not ripping us off, Tom. That's a cop-out. That's just to blame somebody else because you don't want to blame your own government and your politicians and basically your own American people, partly, because of the cheap goods. So you got to blame somebody else, like the Russians or Chinese or Iranians or this or that. It's not their fault. Dude, they played the game and they beat you.
Yes.
That's it. And Tom even said, Mike, the superhighways are in China now. They got highways they're building with recharged solar panel cars as they drive.
Yes.
I never seen that here. And I live in New Jersey. I don't see any solar panels on the bottom of highways that recharge
look at the
cars.
bullet trains around the world. How many of them do we have in the United States that are actually running right now?
I think one, Mike, on here, our East Coast, the Acela line, and it only does it does go fast, only for a few miles. It's got to slow down because of the rickety lines we got. That's all I got to say, Mike. People can call in and bitch about me, but you know what? I'm right. Have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot here. And we're coming up on another commercial break. We've got callers waiting on the line. I'm going to get to them in a little bit, but I want to comment on what Dustin was saying. And he's absolutely right. These other countries did not come in and take away our technology and our manufacturing. Our political and business leadership gave it away. Starting about 30 years ago, they said, we don't need to get our hands dirty. We're the leaders of the free world, and we'll have those people in Taiwan and China do the dirty work of making our TVs and our waffle irons and our stereos and our Blu-ray players and our computers. And the fact of the matter is that job creation lies in the actual manufacturing of products, and licensing out the design for somebody else to make makes the owners of the license very, very rich, like Bill Gates. But it doesn't really help the American people. And that's why I disagree with Tom. We need to bring the manufacturing back here to the United States. We used to be the best manufacturers in the world. It's what allowed us to prevail in World War I and World War II. And if we go into World War III with our manufacturing in the state it's in right now, we will lose. I'm going to make a commercial to a phone call when we come back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website,
by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After one day of taking Extendovite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendovite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, distract yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far 5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones here to Mark in Georgia. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Greetings from the pit of the Peak State. Yes, this is Mark, and I was wondering, did you get the email I sent you about the Simpsons house cat flu?
About the one more time, please.
All right, on the Simpsons, the animated TV series on Fox, they had an episode where, there's a helicopter flies up to the head of the Statue of Liberty, and there's this big conference table, and the network executives one of them puts up a sign, the next phony crisis. And, basically they say, well, what we need is a health, I was thinking we need to have a public health scare. And,
Yes, I did see that.
Did you? Okay. Here, I'm going to shoot you the link once I get home and I get a chance. But I was just reading an article, some med health thing that is basically siding with the establishment view that anyone who says that there's no virus is like, well, I look at it this way: it's disputed whether or not there is an actual COVID-19 virus. To me, the jury's out. I hear one side, I hear the other side. To me, there's a number of things about the science and medical issues that need to be discussed appropriately. But the main thing we need to address is that the political economic manner in which this whole mess was mishandled, somebody needs to be held accountable for the inappropriate way that this thing was handled, including instead of like in Sweden where they acted appropriately. They isolated the people that needed to be isolated. They didn't do anything unreasonable for the population at large, and they haven't wrecked their economy. And I think I heard some people talk about a Jubilee. For those of you that believe in the authority of the Bible, like your wife Claire, that's Leviticus chapter 25. And in Leviticus 25 are the two words, proclaim liberty, that is cast into the side of the Liberty Bell. And there is no liberty in our current monetary system. And that's what I'm trying to get through to people in the GOP is if you think we have a republic because we have the outward trappings of a representative form of government, you are seriously ill-informed. A republic means the rule of law, and as long as criminals control the issuance of fiat currency that is contrary to being at usury. And to me, I mean, I think it was it Republic Broadcasting that pointed to a Rockefeller Foundation article in 2010 where they called it there might need to be a pandemic in order to get the New World Order going.
Yes.
So, I'll shoot you the link for the MedHealth. I think it's MedHealth something, but they had an article basically suggesting getting back to the house cat flu. They had an article saying that we now know that house cats can transmit the COVID-19 virus from one to another, but we need to look at the question of can house cats give you COVID-19? I think those that are calling it COVID-19 84 are more onto it. And what makes it a pandemic? I heard Jeff Bennett was saying last night that Congress enacted this CARES legislation in January about the CARES Act, but I mean January of 2019. And I was hoping that he said he was going to post it on federalobserver.com, and I haven't seen it yet. So I don't know if you're aware of that apparently Congress enacted legislation 11 months before this whole pandemic thing started happening. I guess that has you curious, doesn't it?
Yes, it seems like too much of a coincidence here. And as far as a health emergency being used to bring on the New World Order, actually they wanted three things. One was a pandemic, which they tried in 2009 with the When Pigs Fly flu. Then they also wanted a global economic crash, which seems on the horizon. And finally, of course, was the environmental change of ClimateGate, human-caused global warming, which has kind of fizzled.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the internet is, thank God. I don't know. When I say that to you, I'm kind of thinking of the young man. I had an interesting conversation, very respectful, he's very polite about it, but he had a button that read, "Thank God I'm an atheist." And, as things unfold, I don't want to be pushy regarding asking you to reconsider because I guess you're learned enough to know about Revelation 13, and that's what we may be headed into. And I think that you have legitimate questions that needed legitimate answers. And if the legitimate answer is, I don't know, let's get in touch with a seminary and see what response they have to this. And if that's not good enough, then let's just keep digging. You deserve straight answers from however many years ago that they didn't handle it appropriately. And I'm sorry that happened.
No, they didn't.
Well,
all right.
You're right. You're saying you agree with me. They didn't handle it appropriately.
No, they did not. They did not.
And I respect your concern, and I respect your. The Apostle Paul told us to test everything in 2 Corinthians. Let's see, 1 Corinthians 4 verse 5, I think it is. I'll check it. But the thing thing is, and Christ commanded, stop judging by mere appearances. And the Greek word for appearance is opsin, where we get the word optics. You know, that which meets your eyes. And so, yeah, there's what meets your eyes, and then there's let's find out what more there is to it. And that's where I want these people, like Rolling Stones had a rather nasty article, and the message I want to get through to these people, I don't mind your having a contrarian point of view, but if you're going to camp out on ad hominem arguments, you're taking away your own credibility, not the credibility of the people you're maligning. So, there's, even if Dr. Judy Mickowitz winds up being discredited, which, I don't see any cause to call her discredited, that's not what the whole, how shall I say, I like to call it restorationism. Let's get back to the Constitution before it was unlawful to change. And I don't think most people even know that the Constitution as it exists now is a fraud because unlawful changes happen. And there needs to be a means of a popular enforcement that when the government lies to us, people need to be held accountable. And I don't mean empty rhetoric about accountability. I don't mean lynch mobs. I mean, I'm thinking if the government refuses to come clean, it's going to come down to a violent revolution, which is something I am not advocating. It is the lawless impunity of criminal elements that is screaming for a violent revolution, and we are trying to prevent that by lawfully, peacefully demanding the government has to stop lying to us about the fraudulent debt, about how the government has, the Austrian politician who said it's well for rulers that men do not think. Well, I don't agree with Hitler either on that one. There's points where I'll say, yeah, I agree with you on that point. We don't owe this debt. But when it comes to that, when he comes to saying, I think people need to stop and think and question, is this, and I think above all else, this whole left-right thing is an outright fraud. Both sides have lied to us, and both sides have shielded their own from accountability. And empty talk about accountability is really making me sick to the stomach. So anyway, there you go. I'll shoot you the link for the article about house cats carrying COVID-19. Okay.
All right. Thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Steve in West Virginia. Hello, Steve. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Just
Steve,
curious,
there.
What you think about international travel and air travel. I mean, when do you see it coming back, or do you think it will come back? I mean, I don't see how they can just destroy these corporations forever.
Well, I think international air travel will come back, but I think certainly within the continental United States, you're going to see more and more people opt for trains because you can sit further apart on them. And, train travel is actually quite enjoyable. I did Europe by train. But eventually it's going to come back. I mean, obviously for business customers, the airlines are absolutely necessary. But we're hearing from like the World Health Organization that international travel for pleasure ought to be discouraged.
Mike, I got to tell you, I agree with you 100% on the trains in Italy and Spain and stuff. They are awesome. They can get you places faster than a car, and they're comfortable.
Yes,
they're pleasant. Yeah, they're different than the trains here in the United States, and why there hasn't been any investment in that is just can't understand it. I'd like to. I'd be honest with you, Mike. I'd get on a plane tomorrow and go to Italy if I could, if they let me.
Yeah.
If Italy would accept tourists, again, and I would get on a plane tomorrow. I wouldn't wear a mask or anything. I'm not afraid of this thing. And
most of the airlines are now requiring masks. And I agree with you. I'd put on my mask and I'd get on an airplane tomorrow if I had someplace I needed to get to.
Yeah. Mike, one other quick comment I want to make. I have a friend that has a high volume, high transaction liquor store.
Yes.
Talked to him last night for a little bit, and he's had this liquor store for almost 20 years. He says that out of 10 purchases, he's telling me that 8 of those purchases are made with a credit card. And when he sees the purchase, he knows whether it's a debit or credit card. And he said most of the other purchases are with cash. But
Yes.
now he's seeing that they're putting all the liquor on credit cards. Mike, that tells you something right there.
Yeah, it does. There are indications that drug and alcohol use is increasing with our lockdown population. That this kind of isolation and forced staying at home is leading to some mental issues for a lot of people.
Yeah, not only that, Mike, but I think I told you before, I'm restoring a Victorian house, and I'm telling you, I'm in Lowe's and Home Depot probably at least 3 times a week. And recently, I mean, it's been like Disneyland. I'm not joking or exaggerating. And I see people buying these, like a $1,200 smoker. I've seen people lately buying all these big barbecues. So, I don't know if they're just expanding the credit but I'm telling you, people, this is not a depression. And it's not even a recession, because I see people spending lots of money. And, where are they getting the money? It's either by credit cards or, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like they're worried, that they're going to run out of money.
Buying stuff
So I don't
feels
know.
good. And it's maybe, people are concerned about the economic future. And this is their way of like saying, well, it can't be that big a deal. I can afford to buy, a new barbecue. And it may be just a way of reassuring themselves that things aren't as bad as they may look.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I think you're right. We'll find out. I tell you one thing. I got a letter the other day to up my credit line. So they're not afraid of giving people more credit right now, and that's got to tell you something.
Well, I think it's a desperation. They're trying to maximize their revenues. I mean, I get those letters all the time. Your credit score is excellent. We're going to give you more credit. And my response is, no, I'm paying off all the credit cards. In fact, I've only got one that's got a sizable balance on it, and we're whittling that one down. Because when it all starts to fall apart, those credit card companies are going to be coming out to customers and saying, we're calling your outstanding debt in now. And if you read the fine print of the credit card agreement, the credit company has the right to do that. And so we're working to not get caught by that when it happens.
I think they can do that on some mortgages too.
Yeah, they can.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, they can.
Like, one other quick thing, it'll just take a second. Have you ever went to MarsAnomalies.com?
No, I haven't, but I'll probably take a look at it based on your recommendation. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff out there that says, oh, we found this on Mars, we found that on Mars. I'm still waiting for curiosity to go back and look at the crab.
Well, the guy that runs the site is dead now, but what he did is he was one of the foremost experts in working for insurance companies and viewing like damage from tornadoes and stuff by aerial photo. So he was an expert at looking at aerial photos and telling you exactly what happened here, what happened there. The guy is dead, but what he shows you on the site is he compares the JPL NASA photos of the craft that went there, and he says that we have lakes, liquid lakes, water lakes, and trees on Mars. They're on the different side of Mars. I don't know how true that is, but I've looked at some of the photos.
Well,
and they look.
Here is a case of life imitating art, because I'm actually familiar with the gentleman you're talking about now that you described him. And there's a lot of stuff out there. They're now finally admitting there is liquid water on the surface of Mars. It's very, very salty. That's why it's not freezing. But they're finally admitting, there's liquid water, there's tectonic activity.
Mike, if you look at his website, he has a photo of where it looks like there's a waterfall and the water's moving. You can tell, but there's a waterfall, and it's a pretty big waterfall.
It's on the inside of a crater wall. I've seen that one. Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah. So
You know,
yeah,
it's
his name is
amazing.
Joseph Skipper.
they're looking at the stuff and they're so set in their preconceptions about Mars. I mean, that's what happened when we were talking about life on Mars with Dr. Gilbert Levin's labeled release experiment. The experiment showed a positive. It showed absolutely everything it should have shown if it found indigenous life. But everyone's out there saying, no, there can't be life on Mars. Dr. Levin's experiment has to have gone bad. It couldn't possibly be. And they allowed themselves to be enslaved by their beliefs of what Mars was like, so they couldn't actually see what was going on there. And it's very frustrating to see it happen again.
It is. Jeff Rintz has a picture on his site of what it looks like a valve. It's like a valve you turn with a wrench, just sitting right below the layer of the sand. So it doesn't look like a couple rocks that just look like a valve. It looks like a valve. So I don't know. Anyways, I'll let you go, Mike. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. Here, we're going to switch to Milton in Pennsylvania. We're going to skip our last break to try and get these last few calls in there. Milton, welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Milton, are you there? We lost Milton. All right. Let's go to Jim in Illinois. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Michael, a couple of things. Before I get to my topics, have you seen the documentary that's on YouTube by Michael Moore? It's called Planet Human.
Yes. I've seen the trailer. I haven't seen the whole documentary yet.
I watched the entire thing. It's like an hour and 49 minutes. It really exposes the green organization, so-called greening organization. And most of them are backed by corporations and the oil companies.
Yes. And isn't that funny?
So
because
again,
the first thing that they would say to any critics of human-caused global warming agenda, oh, you must be getting paid by the oil companies. Well, if I am, the checks got lost in the mail because I never got a single one of them.
well, again, when you watch it, you will enjoy it. It's very informative. Early in the show, you were talking about Michael Flynn, Obama and his cronies, and Trump and his mistakes. Mike, to be honest with you, I don't think the average American is concerned about those issues, at least not right now. They're concerned about trying to survive. They're
Yes.
wondering if they're going to have a job. Are they going to be able to pay their rent or their mortgage? Are they going to be able to feed their family? And will their kids go to college? I think most Americans are concerned about that.
I think most Americans are also looking for somebody to blame for it all. And that's why these scandal stories, I think, are getting some traction. I mean, certainly looking at Fox News, they have given a lot of airtime to this unmasking scandal because it's Watergate scale.
Oh, I don't doubt that. But I think the average American, they're telling themselves that, we have to survive. And those people who are being accused, they're going to make it. They're rich. They don't have to worry about, starving or a place to live.
Okay.
So, and the final thing, I forgot what it was. Well,
About
that's
the
it for
economy.
now, Michael. Take care.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. And we're going to go to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, one of the things that's on my mind as I heard driving home today, Donald Trump said he wants to rush like 100 million vaccinations.
Yes.
He wants to use the military to help push it. That to me is very disturbing, and
I
we need
agree.
to be ready because this man. I don't know. At the best I can say him is the man is incompetent and doesn't know what he's doing. That he's plain stupid. At worst, he's part of this whole plan. These vaccinations are not meant to help anybody. They're meant to destroy part of our brain so we can't think properly anymore. It's meant to sterilize us, basically to turn us into living robots for all intents and purposes, and slaves. And we've got to stand up and make it clear. If you want to do this to us, you will have war on your hands, civil war. I already see the police. They're really starting to get scared about this. They're really starting to back up. I don't know how far the military would go in enforcing this. Probably not. But we better be ready. We'd be ready to fight because, there's a guy named John Mark on Line. He talks about all the time the coming civil war.
Yes.
Well, it looks like this is what's going to start it, not the confiscation of guns, but to try to force us into vaccines force us into taking these stupid tests, which are totally unreliable. And we don't want people coming out of our homes to force us to take these silly tests. And this is what we're facing, Mike. And we better wake up and understand this. Bill Gates wants to be king of the world until he pretty much destroys most life, at least human life on the planet, and then turn himself into some kind of robot or some whatever he plans on. The guy is a madman, a psychopath, and I consider him the most evil man since Hitler. And he's probably a lot more dangerous than Hitler ever was, because he's got things available to him that Hitler never had. And we just better understand what we're dealing with, Mike. Please, people, understand what you're dealing with. Get ready.
I'm concerned that Bill Gates is going to try and run for president. You know, he's going to figure, well, if Donald Trump, the billionaire, can become president, then Bill Gates, the billionaire, can become president.
Yeah, well, you have no chance because the guy's got no personality. Okay, and people are enough people are already wise to him that he wouldn't be able to get away with it. He matter of fact, I think from what I gather, he's shocked now that people are onto him, and he doesn't know what to do. So that's a good sign.
That is a good sign.
But folks, be careful, because these people are capable of just about anything. Another biological weapon, who knows? Using the fact that you're going to have so many immunocompromised people, with all the people wearing their masks and locking themselves indoors, not getting any sunshine, not any fresh air. They're going to be, a lot of them going to come down with all kinds of diseases, and they'll say that's the second wave. We got to be careful, folks. These are monsters we're dealing with. These people make Hitler. I'm starting to think they make Hitler look like a Tinkerbell.
Well, remember what we think we know about Hitler and the Nazis and the Germans was written by the other side. That's always one of the biggest penalties for losing the war, is you get demonized.
Right. But he did write in Mein Kampf what he was about. He was a racist, a eugenist himself, and he was, by the way, he was actually backed up by some of the worst monsters on this side of the ocean, like Bush's father, Prescott Bush, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds too, by the way. A lot of these same families and people that are behind this, Gates and his.
Well, you know where Hitler got his ideas about eugenics, right? There was a eugenics movement in the United States in the 1930s.
Margaret Sanger.
Yes.
Right. So
Correct.
I mean, these are monsters. Like, that's all I'm saying. These are monsters. They have things to their, at their fingertips that Hitler never had. All right. We've got to be careful. Gates might look like a little nerd, the little nerdy voice. But don't kid yourself. Okay.
Okay, Mark, I gotta let you go. It's the end of the show, but just remember, only in the movies do villains look like villains. All right. So stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of RBN. Call your local talk radio station, ask them to carry the RBN programming. Please spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. I cannot stress how important it is that we keep doing what we're doing, and we can't do it without you. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.